Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and this is how to use Zapdos. Zapdos is an interesting Pokemon with its stats. It feels a lot like a bulkier Jolteon that's not going to get straight up one-hit KO'd by almost anything, but it does have a very high amount of special attack, a good amount of speed, kind of like if you just swap the speed and special attack around with Jolteon a bit. But it's going to be a fast Pokemon that can hit relatively hard and has a good amount of setup for being a legendary with all those legendary stats and whatnot. It's a really fun Pokemon to use. Looking at its typing, it gets a better typing than Articuno and Moltres, that you don't have a 4x weakness in there. And you resist pretty well while not having too many weaknesses. You know, you have your standard weaknesses that you would expect for a flying type, but because you're electric, you kind of lose that ground weakness, which trades off pretty well. So Zapdos, it's weird because it doesn't have the most tanky stats, but it does get the most defensive usage out of its typing, which is pretty interesting. So let's hop into Pokemon Showdown and see how to use Zapdos. Zapdos, you can play it really well. That I would like using a Charge Beam, but you can also go with Thunderbolt right here if you need to, or Thunder if you are a gambling man. After that, you do have Heat Wave and Extra Sensory, so you get some good coverage off of that Psychic and that Fire type move. And again, we see Ancient Power. Ancient Power is just one of those things that's nice to have. If you get that boost, you can suddenly become an incredibly strong Pokemon just from hitting some other flying type Pokemon or something that's super weak against rock. What I was thinking for this idea is you set up with that timid nature. 328 speed, not the best, but you can outspeed quite a few Pokemon with it, and you still get a very high amount of special attack. Life Orb is an option here, but you can also have other options as well if you don't want to worry about, like, if you take that hit, Life Orb might end up knocking you out or kind of putting you in a very risky zone. So you can just run a Citrus Berry here if you are afraid of that one hit, or you can just kind of run Choice Specs, and you can even switch around, go with Modest Choice Scarf if you really feel the need to. On top of that, we also have an agility set. Again, the legendary birds, they're all going to kind of run the same. That agility into Roost is going to give you that hit point bulk. It's going to let you be very speedy without much setup. And then you just run that modest nature, so now you can have Heat Wave and Thunderbolt. Good coverage overall, or again, if you want to see that Ancient Power for the ultimate shenanigans, you can have it. Citrus Berry with the Roost is going to be very strong. Life Orb with the Roost, very strong as well. You can throw a Lumberry if you're really worried about statuses, but Zapdos doesn't really need the Lumberry as much because it is an electric type. Not the worst that could happen, so if you get Toxic or Burn, you can kind of recover from that pretty well. So Zapdos is going to be like that. It's going to use whatever coverage it has. It's going to try to be speedy. It's going to try to be a sweeper. Very straightforward Pokemon. Now what we can do is take this into doubles, where we're going to see a much more interesting depth into Zapdos. What I was thinking here is we go with that Focus Sash, try to set up a Tailwind, and then just go for the Discharge Heat Wave. Discharge is going to hit both of your opponent's Pokemon, or super support one of your Volt Absorb, or a Pokemon that is ground, resists electric, whatever. You can get a lot of great usage out of a Discharge. Heat Wave is also going to provide excellent coverage, hitting both of your opponents for a pretty solid hit. Then you have Protect, just because it's good to carry in doubles, and Tailwind is going to make that other Pokemon very supported. I was thinking with this, might as well go with Speed Special Attack. Hit points don't really matter if you're carrying that Focus Sash, so just go for the most out of your special attack, become this untouchable beast in speed, and try to sweep out your opponent. Now, as for pairings, I think a Zapdos is paired with a fine water type like Mega Blastoise because it gets Fake Out. Fake out one of your opponents. Well, now they can either hit you or your Blastoise, or you or your Zapdos. If they hit Zapdos, Focus Sash means Tailwind. If they hit Blastoise, not the end of the world, tanky Pokemon. From there, Blastoise can go Water Spout. Hitting both of your opponents with Water Spout and Heat Wave could be a really fast double KO under that priority from the Tailwind. Then we also have Ice Beam for coverage, Protect, so that way Blastoise can protect as Zapdos discharges. And then from there you can follow it up with that Volt Absorb Pokemon, or Motor Drive, or something that can make use of that electricity. And that's what I was thinking, so Zapdos. Probably one of the better Pokemon for doubles. You see it a lot in doubles. It gets a reliable Tailwind. It has a lot of things that hit multiple opponents, and can be a very strong, hard-hitting Pokemon. 383 special attack, 299 speed, and again, if you pair it with the right Pokemon, it can be devastating. I've seen the Zapdos Blastoise combo, and it hurts. Other than that, like I said, Zapdos can be a standard sweeper Pokemon. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. That's how you use Zapdos.